Today, class, we are going to be talking about comparing and contrasting. Before we discuss what it is, does anyone have any ideas of what they think it is? Comparing and contrasting are looking at how things are the same and how they are different. Another way to say how things are the same is to call them similarities. You can compare just about anything, but in order to start comparing and contrasting, you will need at least two things that you can look at where you can name characteristics about them to see how they are the same and how they're different. You can compare your favorite characters in the book. You could compare movies or book plots. Maybe you could compare like Spider-Man versus Superman and see how they're the same and how they're different. You could compare different games, your favorite places to eat, and the list goes on and on. Are there any ideas of things that you could compare? If I were to tell you right now, you had to write down two things and tell me how they're the same and how they're different. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how you could go about writing down your ideas of how things are different. We are going to use what is called a comparison chart. To make a comparison chart, the first thing you're going to do is pick the two things that you want to compare. You're going to have them on the left side and the right side. And in the middle is where you write the things that are similar. So for an example, we are comparing cake and pie. So cake can be fluffy, it has frosting, you can have tall cakes, you can have baked bread as cakes, and pie, which is completely different from cake, has crust, it's mostly filling, it's baked in a dish, and it's usually more dense than cake. Even though these two things are different, they have things that make them the same. They're both desserts, you can have fruit in them, they're both sweet, you could have chocolate cake, you could have chocolate pie, you usually eat both of them with a fork, and you can even have both of them with ice cream. Making a comparison chart allows us to quickly see what is different about each thing and what is the same. It's important to know how to compare and contrast because it allows you to be able to look at different events in your life. You can see the similarities and differences in different characters in a book you're reading or a movie you're watching. You can compare different stories. You can compare just about anything. You could compare yesterday to today, or what happened in math to reading, and see how those things could be different, but how even if you don't think anything could be the same about them, when you're just thinking about them, you can usually find at least a couple things that are the same. So first we're going to look at the book Bonk at the Barbershop. I'm going to read this book to you, and I want you to be thinking of the similarities and differences of the two characters that I'm going to give you. We are going to be comparing Bonk and Jupe. As I read, I want you to really try to focus and try to find at least one difference for each character and one thing that could be the same. So I noticed when I was reading that Bonk really likes growing his hair, and he is pretty stubborn when it comes to getting his hair cut. Jupe is Bonk's friend, and he's trying to be helpful and caring. Jupe is also very prepared and even has a first aid kit. Now, even though these two characters are different, there are things that make them the same. Bonk and Jupe are both friends to each other, and I noticed that they both liked riding their bikes in the story. Now I want you guys to read the story independently to yourself. You can either whisper read or read in your head. And I want you to try to come up with at least 2 more ideas for each box on the chart. When you're finished, I'd like you to come up and write at least one of your ideas on the class chart in the box that it goes in. The next book we're going to read is Tanya's Money Problems. I'm going to read this book out loud to you, and we are going to be looking for the similarities and differences of Tanya and Thad. So as I read the book, I noticed that Tanya was a money spender. The second she got the money, she spent it. And Thad likes saving his money. Can anybody tell me any similarities that they noticed in the book? I noticed that they both work hard to earn their money. Both of them do lots of chores for their parents so that they can earn as much money as possible. I'm going to have you guys read the story again and then talk with your table partner to try to come up with at least 2 new ideas for each box on the chart. You guys as table partners can decide if you want to read the book to yourselves, do whisper reading, or do buddy reading. Once you're finished, I want you guys to compromise on an idea to put it on the class chart. I know you guys all will have great ideas to add, but I really want you guys to work as a team to decide on what is the most important idea from each box so that we can have it on the chart. And then once everyone is done, we will look at what people thought were the most important and see if they are in the right spot or not. Now I want you guys to read the Fishing Derby by yourselves. You're going to be looking for the character of Lewis and Lewis's dad. Once you have filled out your chart completely with at least 3 ideas, I want you to compare with your table partner. It's okay if you guys have mostly the same things or if you all have completely different things. Everyone's idea and what they think is allowed to be what they think. You're not telling people that they got it wrong. I just want you guys to discuss why you chose the box that you chose and why you chose to write what you chose. I want you to discuss as a group 1 idea per box that you want to put on the class chart. Once everyone is done, we're going to discuss as a class and decide if we have enough differences or similarities or if anyone can think of any more that haven't been discussed.